Alright, I've seen some absolutely morally decrepit and shocking things in my 20 short years on this planet, but I have to say, this is definitely like a top 50 all-time move. I mean, come on, man. I don't even know how someone could, like, justify even attempting to do this. I don't know how anyone could even, like, think of doing this and, like, just sit there and think that this is something that they're gonna go through with in their own head. And in reality, it's really sad to see, man. It's sad to see things like this because obviously it's a rough time for the world right now. We're all going through a lot, you know. It's been tough on the vast majority of people, whether the economic impact has been bad for you or you've seen somebody have this virus or you've had it. It definitely hasn't been a fun experience for us, okay? And people they get into situations like this where so many people are thrown into a bad situation and they find a way to take full advantage. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. Obviously, COVID-19 has ravaged the planet, and in places like here in the United States where this takes place, it's been an absolute just horror for the entire society, okay? The government has already had a very rough time trying to contain, of course, the virus, but also at the same time, deal with the other fallouts and impacts that it could have. Now, obviously, when the economy kind of crashed a little bit during this entire thing, and, well, I mean, it's kind of recovering now, but when it crashed, a lot of businesses really struggled, and I'm not even just talking about mom and pop shops. Even though so many of them completely lost their livelihoods and couldn't even reopen, there were multi-billion-dollar companies that were on the verge of filing bankruptcy or did file bankruptcy. And so the government had a loan program that they kind of put together to give money to businesses that were kind of floundering to try and help them through the pandemic and to invest in the future. And somebody took full advantage of that. As a matter of fact, it was a man in Florida. So, a man in Florida who received nearly $4 million in federal loans intended to help struggling businesses and spent the money on a new Lamborghini Huracan sports car and other fraudulent purchases was arrested and charged with 3 felonies, officials said on Monday. David T. Hines, 29 of Miami, was charged with bank fraud, making a false statement leading to a lending institution, and engaging in transactions in unlawful proceeds, according to prosecutors in the U.S. District Court for the Southern District of Florida. If convicted on all charges, he could face up to 70 years in prison, an official in the prosecutor's office said. In April, Mr. Hines joined scores of other business owners who are seeking financial help from the Federal Paycheck Protection Program, a loan program created to help businesses keep their employees during the coronavirus pandemic. On his applications, Mr. Hines said that he operated 4 businesses with 70 employees and had $4 million in monthly expenses. Okay, so he gets $4 million from the U.S. federal government to try and help, I guess, keep these businesses that he claimed afloat and to keep his employees on payroll and everything. And, this is actually a program that is good. I mean, this is helpful. Once again, we're talking about mom and pop shops across the country, right? Who may employ only, 5 people, okay? But if they go out of business, that's 5 jobs lost. And the economic impact for that community has been worsened. And then we have people like this, right, who they see these programs that are meant to help people through a hard time, that are meant to help keep the economy floating, and they take advantage of that situation for their own gain. They don't take advantage of it to actually benefit a business. They make these kinds of claims to benefit themselves, to make money for themselves, and not even really make money, to steal money for themselves. You gotta think of it from the government perspective, right? They think that 70 employees might have their jobs at risk in this community. That honestly has a bigger economic impact than I think most people can imagine. That's hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars in taxes that are now taken out of the economy if they lose their jobs. And businesses that help stimulate the economy might also disappear. And this asshole comes along and steals money. What kind of person does that? What kind of person morally justifies this? And out of everything you could have spent the money on, because in reality, you give me $4 million, and trust me, I'm ending up with more, okay? You get $4 million in federal loans, and you can't find anything better to spend it on than a Lamborghini and other fraudulent purchases. Sure, a Lamborghini would be awesome to have. If I could drive around every day in a brand new Lamborghini Huracan, that would be incredible. I would do it, okay? But just thinking about why you would do this, I can't figure out why. Of course, he wants to live a lavish lifestyle and whatever, and it's money that he can steal. But dude, by the next month, Mr. Hines started receiving money from the loan program. He received 3 payments totaling $3,984,000 $557, according to the authorities. As that money came in, Mr. Hines continued submitting requests for more funds. Eventually, his requests totaled $13,542,741, according to officials. This man could have potentially swindled taxpayers, okay, because obviously the U.S. government is funded by taxpayers out of $13.5 million, had he not been caught and had his requests been granted. People should be more mad about situations like this, because, here I am thinking, of course, when I give a very generous sum of my money to the United States federal government, that it's going to go to build new roads for me to drive on, to build new schools to educate the next generations with, to help stimulate local economies and build families up into wealth. But no, my money, a lot of it goes to the military, of course, but this asshole is here taking our tax dollars that are meant to go to those goods that we need, to those services that we need. And this asshole's swindling it. And of course, the other purchases that came through are just as rich as that Lamborghini, just as great. What came next, based on a review of Mr. Hines' financial records, was a spending spree that included luxury jewelry, expensive clothes, visits to resorts in Miami Beach, and expenses on dating websites, officials said. There does not appear to be any business purpose for most, if not all, of these expenses. Brian Masmella, a U.S. postal inspector, wrote in an affidavit outlining more than a dozen of Mr. Hines' payments from May to June. So you're from Miami, and the best place that you can find to go on vacation is Miami Beach when you're stealing my tax dollars, when you're stealing other people's tax dollars? That's the best you could come up with? Some luxury jewelry, some expensive clothes. Apparently he's trying to impress people on dating sites too. I'm pretty sure now that's pretty much over with. He's going to be going to jail, but once again, just think about this, okay? We're in the midst of a global crisis. The economy is worse than it's been in well over a decade. People are out of work. Some people haven't even received their stimulus check, and they're talking about, of course, pushing out a new one here in the United States, a second wave, to try and help families push through this trying time. And then this asshole is here soaking up tax dollars in the millions that are meant to go to local businesses to help them. And you're telling me the best thing you could find was a resort in your own city. That was it. And now he's facing over 70 years. I hope he gets that full sentence. I really do. Sure, does it seem maybe a little bit cruel to spend the rest of his life in jail? Because, by the way, we're not talking about a 16-year-old. We're talking about a 30-year-old man. By the time he's done, he'll be 100. Most likely, he's not getting out of that. He's going to be buried under the jail. But the amount of lives that this man potentially ruined is astronomical. Because imagine that $4 million and that $13 million that he requested went to mom and pop shops, okay? Families of 4 that are making donuts or something like that. And now they didn't get that money and potentially their business is done. The economic impact to that community is monumental. But all of these families that have now seen their businesses fall apart, that may have been passed down through generations, a keepsake of that family, are now also gone. And that money could have went to keeping them up. But this idiot decided he wanted to get his hand into the pot too. The amount of lives that this man potentially ruined, I don't even know. I can't think of it. I don't want to think of it. It's sad. This really is a sad situation. And I especially don't feel sympathy for him because he's an idiot. He's not just an idiot because he stole taxpayer money. That's a big part of it, because the IRS and the government, they don't play about that money, man. You're not getting one over on them. It's just simply not happening. They are too involved. But out of everything this dum-dum could have purchased, with his finite time and his massive wealth that he now has stolen, his best purchase he could find was some jewelry, clothes, a visit to a resort, some dating websites, and a Lamborghini. I don't feel sympathy. I simply don't. Mr. Hines made 2 payments in May totaling $30,000 to a person listed as mom, officials said. The same month, he paid more than $4,000 to Saks Fifth Avenue. In June, Mr. Hines paid more than $7,000 to the Setai Hotel in Miami Beach and $8,500 to the jewelry company Graf. The biggest purchase appears to be made on May 18th when Mr. Hines bought a blue Lamborghini for $318,497, aka the incomes of several American families. In North Miami Beach, officials had said. He registered the vehicle under his name and that of one of his businesses. Monthly expenses for Mr. Hines' companies averaged around $200,000, far below what he had claimed on his federal loan applications the postal inspector said. In fact, there was no record of Mr. Hines' businesses, Unified Relocation Solutions LLC, ProMaster Movers Incorporated, Cash and Holdings LLC, and WePack Moving LLC, having, quote, any operating websites, according to the affidavit from the postal inspector. 2 of his businesses had a history of complaints. On the Better Business Bureau website, customers complained that 2 of Mr. Hines' businesses conducted, quote, bait-and-switch practices and other deceitful activities. According to the affidavit, both businesses are F-rated businesses on the site. So this guy's just an overall scumbag. He's always been ripping people off. He has no morality about himself. He has no moral compass, and he deserves everything that he's getting. All of the money that he took should be refunded, of course, and given back out to families. Everything that he bought that's physical should be sold back and that money given to families. His family doesn't deserve any of that money that he may have given. Apparently he gave money to his mom, I guess. They don't deserve that money because he didn't get it legitimately. No one deserves any of that except for the people that tax money was supposed to go to. Mr. Hines, my guy, I hope you spend 70 plus years in prison. I hope they convict you on all charges. And if you ever get out, I hope that your life is completely ruined. You have destroyed the livelihoods and potential of several families. God knows how many in all reality. And folks, don't feel sorry for people like this. With all that being said, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel, follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at SubToOptimus. Make sure to check out Shop Opti down below. Thank you to my channel members. Your support helps my channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus. Well, not defrauding the federal government out of millions of dollars. Just being a good person in that regard. Hence, signing out.